Vernon to T'Challa. Let's start with Ryan. What do you think we're looking at here?
Ooh, I mean, for the draft so far, it has been more of a look of like Shikigami not prioring the Elsa. They want to try and get the Gambit and the Daredevil if they can, but ALTR Esports are not likely to let that happen. It's also interesting that both these teams have played the same opponent so far, both of which were like Pulsar and then Na'Vi, just in a different order. It's just that ALTR Esports dropped a map against Pulsar where Shikigami made pretty good work of it. And there it is. Like, the Gambit's not going to be allowed, so we'll see how Shikigami want to try and prio, whether they're going to match the protection of the Elsa.
I mean, yeah, Whoops on this Elsa has been an absolute demon. As ALTR Esports, I'm sure they're going to be a little bit worried about Frost Mountain's hero pool at some point in this draft, given that it was Jabbergoob on the Wolverine who actually gave them the most amount of grief. There goes Vanguard Deadpool's availability for ALTR Esports. Shikigami now going to match the save slot with that Elsa. So both of these teams going to have access to the premier duelist of the current meta. Now we get that ban coming out onto ALTR Esports side, and as predicted, Vanguard Deadpool. Something that still has to be addressed is Loki and Mantis, and it looks like ALTR Esports and Shikigami are actually on that same train of thought, and away goes one of our strategists next too.
I think when you look at the first phase of the draft before these like Mantis bans come in, it's scary because you could still run like 2-2, triple strategist, triple Vanguard even as like a 3-1-2 setup. There's still like a lot of options still available, so the Mantis like as the equal ban that's used at the same time, pretty good idea. Shikigami actually do want to get Kaya on hand with Venom if it's needed, if they want to play something a bit more dive focused. For ALTR Esports, there's plenty of opportunities that they can go for. I think it's more like where they want to put that protection. It went onto Rogue, as Tetra was mentioning on the desk, but Invisible Woman, Loki is also something that can happen to be whilst that Daredevil's being taken out. Is it going to be one-sided? It would be a really good one-sided character to have.
I mean, yeah, do you go for the Rogue since you don't have access to the Gambit? Like, Rogue's good, but she becomes great when she's run alongside that Gambit. And it looks like it's actually just going to be dive for dive coming through. So now does Shikigami remove the Jeff to have one-sided symbiotic shenanigans to have a stronger dive sustainability? And yes, they absolutely do. So not only are we going to have that for the Venom with that team-up, we're also going to have these really speedy hits. But ALTR Esports were able to take out the Daredevil, so Shikigami are actually going to firsthand scout the composition of ALTR, as opposed to having Daredevil literally tell them, hey, they're coming around this wall, this corner, make sure that you're ready with your Jeff Speed bubbles, 3, 2, 1, go.
They're hovering over a composition that we actually saw from Shikigami on the other side on Central Park. Maybe, but I think it's so you've got one-sided Jeff, which is going to be handy for what ALTR Esports want to try and do with the fast play. And Shikigami are going to have the Daredevil banned out against them, which means that Frost Mountain isn't going to have access to that. He's going to potentially be on the Elsa. But if ALTR Esports are actually... Are they going for this composition? Are they actually going to go for the Torch Ultron?
I mean, I'm not just looking at the Torch Ultron, I'm looking at Luna White Fox, because that Spirit Fox Accord team-up is actually really, really strong at stopping Venom from getting in and out. Like, Venom is a really good Vanguard because he can literally go in, soft dive, be there for half a second, be out, but with that new charm effect that the White Fox affords to the Lunar Snow with the team-up, his hand is forced a lot of the time to stay in far longer than he desires. So yeah, the torch actually drops, might be brought out on a map like Warrior Falls, but here, absolutely not. You're focusing on the Elsa instead.
Yeah, it's the Zootopia backline versus the newest team-up of Luna White Fox, and this is White Fox without the recent hotfix buffs too, so Hatro wanted to try to make it work and make it sing. Team Captain is going to go very low, but the God of Thunder is going to have another crack of lightning to survive this engagement. In fact, both the Vanguards are taking a boatload of damage on this front line, and Frost Mountain's found himself a really good angle to try to crossfire against the opening for ALTR Esports. Everybody's been forced back. Shikigami take point one.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. ALTR Esports, they're making sure Shikigami can't come in, but at the same time, Shikigami are making sure no one can get out and onto point, which means ALTR Esports lose control of the point first, and Shikigami can now afford to just keep ALTR Esports stuck inside small room. Unless they try and walk forward, Shikigami are going to be sitting pretty, at least until Whoops breaks free. Manages to take out Isidore, now looks to put the pressure onto Kaya, trying to stall out this point control with Shikigami and Nami's backline keeping him up all the while through.
And there's the Rage of Ultron that's going to allow Whoops to get that final pick onto Name. And now everybody's clearing up. 25% grab for Shikigami. And able to get a few more picks as Shikigami looking to try to set up. I don't know if they're going to change much of their composition. There's still some ultimates to be built up.
I mean, ALTR esports are on a really good composition now as well. Like, they're going to be able to scout out to see if Shikigami are going to start taking some flank routes, if they're going to look to split their team. And speaking about split, we do actually have a split. Isidore is trying to clear up this off angle, but he's intercepted by team captain. Looks like Shikigami still want to force that angle, though. They're sending 3 players, both the Angela, the Jeff, and the Psylocke, to clear ALTR esports so that team captain alone can't hold the position. The Angela breaks through, now gets to look for that backline and allow the rest of Shiki's team to walk forward.
They're hovering. They're seeing if they can force something out with just this pressure as the dive is going to go down just off the bottom of the screen from Kaya. Frost Mountain gets the pick off the back of it, and the God of Thunder is going to be used. Invisible Boundary in response from Lindstrom as it's in and out of this bunker, the silo. They're looking for this fight. Fate of both worlds going to be forced out from ALTR at the same time. Shikigami still having lots in the back pocket, though. Dance of the Butterflies is going to cut through these triple strategists all the way back. Ultron trying to escape. Doesn't need the stairs, but Venom is going to steeply chase in behind him. Nice fight, and ALTR esports forced out a lot of ultimates in the end.
Yeah, EXO used that Fate of Both Worlds. I mean, granted, Monarch could potentially open up this fight with Rage of Ultron to get ALTR esports through these chokes, but Leolaz on the Psylocke is going to make sure to communicate to the team, like, you don't have the Daredevil, you don't have the radar sense, you have to actually scout and then counter-rotate to meet. Does leave them vulnerable. Shiki tried to dive the backline when the rest of the team pushed forward with the Heaven's Retribution, but ALTR esports just baited their players and swung on the Angela instead. Isidore off of that Vanguard now comes back onto the Strange so that Shikigami can try and keep control of this point instead of allowing ALTR esports to freely flip it.
Trying to see if they can dodge this. It's Jeff Ult coming out from Name, but he's trying to provide a little bit of a carpet for his teammates to go on and contest the point as the threat from ALTR esports is looming over at the Rage of Ultron, and the Meteor M slamming down onto Frost Mountain as Lindstrom is sent back packing too. So Shikigami getting a lot of these ultimates out again, but they don't necessarily have stuff banked up for this next engagement. In fact, maybe feeling like they wanted to go for a portal play as the Seedom moved over to the Strange.
I mean, Isidore was already on the Strange. They actually portaled back in on that engagement. So Shikigami now don't actually have the portal available for them. ALTR esports still do. We're getting towards the final fight territory, especially since the Kumiho Unleashed is going to be there for Hatro if ALTR esports want to try to brawl. But they might just save it to be able to react to Dance of the Butterflies coming through from Leolaz. But the damage combined, Ryan, like Shikigami, they're one fight away from being able to take this round. They might just overlap all of their ultimates and look to sweep the team. Sin of going for those slower dive hits. Frost Mountain, though, on the Elsa just allows you to play for those eliminations almost out of nowhere. And Shikigami don't have to go for a dive. They just get to clear up the eliminations and get the point flip that way instead.
Oh, team captain has to go for the Strange. Yeah, you were just sort of building up like in overloading, and with ultimates it wasn't needed, it was just the picks. But there is at least a little bit of a window for ALTR esports to not leave too much time on the clock. But it is 99% now for Shikigami. A well-placed Apex Predator be able to pull off a couple more plays, and you're starting to see ALTR esports, the Shepherd's truck pulling him off of the objective in various directions. And an invisible boundary put on top means that if ALTR esports want to try and re-engage this, they have to. It's going to be a precarious area of this battle to happen. ALTR esports making it close on this first point, but Shikigami, Frost Mountain especially, an unorthodox duelist with the characters he plays, not necessarily melee focused, but looking really, really good on the Elsa.
I mean, Shikigami just honestly doing a really good split composition. Like, when you have to go for only a dive composition, it can fall a little bit short of expectation because, like, you looked at ALTR esports, how they played the rotation in the first part of those fights. Everyone bunkered up, everyone played to counter and react to the dive. But Shikigami on full dive, they also have Frost Mountain on the Elsa running the sideline. So the moment that that point starts to be unlocked, they have to go into the Elsa. Yet they're stopping the dive, but they are leaving themselves vulnerable to the Elsa's damage coming on through. And we can start to see why teams go for these split ideas of compositions as opposed to putting all of the eggs into the basket of one thing.
I mean, there's so many baskets to put eggs into right now. It feels that there's not enough eggs for all of the baskets with all of the ideas. But for now, it feels like for Shikigami, it's building upon those things for ALTR esports. you are looking to try to win up these matches. You've given yourself a good advantage for playoffs with the win over Pulsar yesterday. The Shikigami's a beatable opponent. It's just whether or not you can make this triple strategist work. Monarch is very close to building a Rage of Ultron, trying to use the high ground as much as they can.
I mean, they have to hold Fate of both worlds at the moment, trying to scout out where exactly Leolaz is coming from. ZQ, by the way, swaps to the Captain America so that he can start taking away some of the healing resources of Shikigami's back line. Dance of the Butterflies healed on through with Fate of both worlds and then stopped just at the end of it. So Psylocke shut down. He still tries to come on through with the combination of Heaven's Retribution leading up into Nane, getting the eat onto multiple players, but Rage of Ultron puts the Jeff short of the cliff, and ALTR Esports will be able to pick up the first fight win and now establish their positions around the map to cut the dive off before Shikigami can set it up.
Leolaz was interrupted in the ultimate too, so he's still slowly but surely building it up. Name was the one that dedicated that it's Jeff for the Rage of Ultron. Make sure that he can't get too much, and Wux finds himself too with an Apex Predator in hand.
Oh, Shikigami, like, how do you manage to control these spaces as well? Because, like, ZQ, he's got the freedom charge. He's going to be able to put way more pressure onto Name and Lindstrom. So, no free healing Jeff this time around the way we saw in previous rounds. You can see that they were a lot more aware trying to work out where exactly that Captain America is going to be. As in the meantime, Kaya's doing the same on ALTR Esports back line. Freedom charge comes on through, allowing ALTR Esports presence back onto the point. But, I mean, Shikigami, no one's actually in range to run into. Everyone just pulls back.
It was a bit of a sort of hopscotch of a fight for Shikigami. It was just the dedication of the freedom charge. You got the God of Thunder too. Shikigami not really needed to overfight that one, but yeah, forced out into walkthrough positions. Still trying to build up these offensive capabilities as an Apex Predator is going to keep this reset. Whoops doesn't want to hold on to it too long, and then pull them all the way down to the ground, and the eliminations are just going to follow up. His Elsa has been looking incredible today, and Frost Mountain has the ultimate in tow on his side, as well as another Dance of Butterflies, but that's 66% made.
I mean, it's also Leolaz having to get on top of ALTR Esports, and ALTR Esports having the opportunity to scout out the Psylocke, cut off the rotation, or just stack all of their players into that incoming damage. Though you do have to be aware, if you stack, Frost Mountain will be sending the Apex Predator as a separate dance partner for ALTR Esports to have to deal with. Like, at this point, though, with the amount of point percentage that you have, you're happy losing this fight at the cost of Shikigami's whole ultimate economy.
And it's ALTR Esports, the team that doesn't like to usually play. They have access to the Daredevil, but they don't play those melee characters. They prefer to play this sort of like almost like double hit scan mechanical shooting, and it works with the Ultron well. Dance of the Butterfly is going to try and leap in as a chance for Shikigami to get a hold of this point first. It's forced to fight back, so it has flipped at 99%, but there's not much of an opportunity outside of that. It seemed that ALTR Esports were quite happy to give up the space because they found themselves to counterattack on an overextended Kaya, and suddenly Shikigami are forced into a really difficult position to be in, and a Rage of Ultron is looking to just shut down on them. Torrential rain is going to force out this invisible boundary, and Leolaz has at least found himself another pick onto Monarch as that ultimate was coming through. Great shot in the end. Frost Mountain finally getting a hold. Still has the Apex Predator. Isn't going to use it as ALTR Esports to force back. Oh,
that's Rage of Ultron used to force invisible boundary as well. Now, if he still gets Heaven's Retribution to pair alongside Nami's, it's Jeff. They don't have CC immunity to try and take the Jeff down before Nami can park off of the cliff with everyone from ALTR Esports with them. So it's going to come down to trying to work out where exactly that Jeff is going to be coming from as Apex Predator clears up the choke, grabs everyone from ALTR Esports out of position. No eliminations off of the back of it, but still the team dissuaded from being able to walk. ALTR Esports, though, they've got more than enough time and point percentage to play around with. Shiki still have to get half of this point's full possession before they can finish out the round, which means ALTR Esports, they're going to bank up ultimates and they're going to bruise on forward when Shikigami can't stand up to the sheer amount of power.
Fate of both worlds is going to be the go button on ALTR Esports, as well as another Apex Predator that's grabbed hold of Kaya. He's been pulled off of the point, but it's Jeff is able to actually keep him up as the symbiotic resilience piece to the abyss is going to be used to keep him alive. They do lose to Jeff in the process, though. Isidore didn't go in with the Heaven's Retribution, wasn't able to combine it. It felt like a bit of a panic button after Kaya got caught out from the Glortrox. Freedom Charge in hand for Ziku. Doesn't really need to use it. There's the Heaven's Retribution he pulled in, but the Freedom Charge is going to be used as a response. Monarch is so close to having another Rage of Ultron, which could be used to help his team and get Shikigami back onto a third point of this map. Whoops is trying to clear up whoever's left. They're able to clip the wings of Angela. Leolaz trying to escape. He's not going to get very far. He's going to get off of the point. And we do go to a third point on Benim T'Challa.
Oh, ALTR Esports keeping it close. Imperial Institute of Science is where we're headed to next. And I mean, like, Whoops on the Elsa has been looking on absolute fire. We built him up as a player that we got to see really improve and evolve, taken into our notice by Marvel Rivals Championship in that previous season. And I think, like, that's given him a real advantage because he got the opportunity coming through from MRC for Elsa to not be eternally stuck in ban prison and actually get to go head to head. So he's really experienced being able to win out those Elsa matchups.
And Shikigami, it's an awkward composition, I think, because Frost Mountain can, like, play stuff like the Dead. Laylis is flexible enough to be on stuff like the Psylocke, Jean Grey, Elsa. Frost Mountain may be on something like the Daredevil, but that's not allowed to him. ALTR Esports have access. They don't need it. This composition is going to work, and even if there was access to that Daredevil, you've got so many flyers and divers at you in ALTR Esports. It's Monarch that you really have to try and shut down. Now, May's still over on a Jeff. It's one-sided. They want to make advantage of it as much as they possibly can, but there haven't been those clear-cut moments.
I mean, Shikigami are very close to a lot of ultimates. ALTR Esports, the closest one for them is Rage of Ultron, but that's not a fight-winning ultimate. It is for first-round domination when your opponents don't have their ultimate economy in hand. But Shikigami can start off by taking first turn, potentially going aggressive with something like an invisible boundary, but it looks like Lindstrom's actually going to hold it to try to react to Monarchs instead. It's a static ultimate, so there are no surprises. They're playing on the point itself, forcing ALTR Esports into having to brawl so they can get the upper hand with the invisible boundary, slowing things down.
They wanted to see if they could force ALTR Esports to try and contest them or open up the space a little bit for this dance with the butterflies. It doesn't get an elimination, but it does force out the Rage of Ultron. Everybody was grouped up. Laylis is low, so it's going to be an effective 5 versus 6 in favor of ALTR Esports as they wait for their Psylocke to get back up to speed. Now they're trying to go offensive with the plays in from ALTR Esports, but now May is strong. Team captain on the other side. Invisible boundary was dedicated from Lindstrom. There's the dive for Kaya. Overextended a couple of times, but with the Feast of the Abyss in hand, he does have something to hold back onto. ALTR Esports forced to reset. Shikigami take this third point first.
Yeah, I mean, great dance with the butterflies to open up the fight. Force Rage of Ultron. Lindstrom then gets to use Invisible Boundary aggressively when Team Captain tries to dive and pressure out, disrupting that backline of both the Invisible Woman and the Jeff, which is allowing Kaya and Easter so much freedom. Speaking about freedom, oh my goodness. Leolaz, yeah, finds a huge pick onto Hatro, so no strategist, no potential Kumiho unleashed in this next engagement, as potentially they're just looking to do more of the same, and it's forcing ALTR Esports. Look at the amount of map space they're having to give up to make sure that they can actually guard Hatro's walk with the team, because if you burn Sanctuary as a teleport here, that leaves your White Fox far too vulnerable when the actual dive hits.
Now, how they want to go for the offensive, Laylis has to be very careful of this anti-dive team captain that wants to make sure that the backline is under so much more stress. Kaya is going to use the Feast of the Abyss to actually force out the fate of both worlds on the other side. And now just waiting to sort of regroup. It's already 3/4 on this point. ALTR Esports now using the God of Thunder and the Apex Predator together, buying themselves 3 picks, and Frostmountain's going to use it on the other side. It's going to silence ALTR Esports for a second, but all of the eliminations go their way. Really good combination between Whoops and Team Captain to get that to work, but it's 87% Moxie.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have all that many ultimates as well to tide you over. Shikigami, like, Leolaz is just already all the way behind. This is Psylocke, so can put a lot of pressure on things like the Ultron. Should be able to grab a health pack. Unseen. Oh, has found Hatro. Is looking for the lineup just to be able to put the pressure on the backline and potentially find a full assassination. But I mean, the amount of damage that you're doing in terms of forcing the attention to turn towards where the solo could be. Free Shikigami up. ALTR Esports, though, they're able to peel off of it. Feast of the Abyss comes on through from Z-Cube. Nama using its Jeff, trying to provide sustainability, but you've already lost Lindstrom. So this fight for Shikigami is probably already done. Do they decide to fight it out? Because it's risky if they do. They're giving up a lot of point percentage potentially, and it looks like they're just looking to pull back and regroup instead.
Yeah, they're ready to get out. 2 of the 3 strategists do have the ultimates. Rage of Ultron and Kumiho ready to work if there is more of that dive to come through from Shikigami. It's whether Laylis can get into position. He does have the dance of the butterflies. And Frost Mountain sort of in the neutral just sort of gets caught out. He was on the objective, whether he's sort of CC'd and pulled away. It's hard to gauge, but the invisible boundary is forced out really shy of the point over from Lindstrom. Heaven's Retribution now going to go in. This feels like if this fight goes badly, Moxie, this could be a disaster for Shikigami.
Yeah, here's the brawl as well with the Kumeho form coming out from Hatro. Into Layla, though, at the tail end of it, quite literally with the Dance of the Butterflies cutting through once the Kumeho is back into White Fox's normal form. ALTR Esports triple strategist, everyone lined up, though, in front of EXO for those claps to really make matters hurt. Shikigami also have not been able to find the flip, so it's panic stations right now, Ryan. Layla is coming back on the Strange to pull the team back.
Yeah, this is messy now as they're now trying to see if they can just get people on the objective. It's Jeff is almost ready, as is an Apex Predator, but you want to make sure that you're clinical with this. You don't want to throw it out and get absolutely nothing. The Glortrox is run from distance, though, so it doesn't really connect and go through anything. The portal is going to be used on both sides, but it's still in the hands of ALTR Esports. There it is on the other side from Whoops, but Whoops is taken out cleanly. He's able to get a pick onto Kaya, though, before Lindstrom is able to take him off. And Name grabbing people is forced out from Team Captain, who this far has been an utter bouncer for this team to give ALTR Esports a chance to fight back into this one. They have to clear Frost Mountain now. He's trying to use these shields from the Invisible Woman to try and survive. And Layla's here on the Strange. The portal back is not just what he can offer. He's found himself lovely picks in the end as the point is flipped. ALTR Esports run out of steam. And right at the depth, Moxie Shikigami take it.
Frost Mountain in that overtime fight was a one-man army. He dispensed Monarch through the Rage of Ultron self-healing. And just base damage alone with Elsa. Stacking the shifts, getting the bullets home. Oh, like, that's so unfortunate as well, because, like, if you look at what ALTR had access to, if they'd been able to get back into that fight, they would have had Fate of both worlds. They would have been able to out-sustain Shikigami, use both the amplification of damage as well as the heal tick to turn the fight. And Shikigami had already burned the Strange TP. Like, it came down to an absolute wire. And Frost Mountain deserves that MVP because he carried the team home in that final overtime spot.
36,000 damage, and whilst it was like Whoops in the elimination feed a little bit more with these final hits, it's just that Frost Mountain had a lot more damage that he needed to put out because of this triple strategist. You gotta say though, I think for like ALTR Esports, like the idea of the composition for one, Team Captain on the Thor had a lot of impact. I think a lot of it was to do with just like that one-sided Jeff right at the end of the draft. Just taking some of the strength out of Z-Cube. Kaya struggled in some of those moments, but I think Name showed up a lot on the Jeff and the backline, is holding its own against tough opponents, despite EXO only going down 3 times.
I mean, now the problem for ALTR Esports is where do you take Shikigami? Because, like, obviously they proved they were comfortable with the Ultron composition, but we've also seen Shikigami run that Ultron composition. So do you go to Convergence and both get to play the triple strategist Ultron Flyer composition, or do you try to swerve that problem entirely and go to Convoy instead?
Difficult question when you do know the Shikigami do have these interesting strategies on Convergence. This series is already showing up exactly how we hoped it would, going right until the limit between these two teams, right until overtime between these two teams. I am so excited, but ALTR, do you gamble on that Convergence or do you play it safe and head over to Convoy? We're going to be heading to a break. When we come back, we'll be finding out as we continue with Shikigami versus ALTR.
I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Suffer in the darkness. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
Convergence was a little too scary for ALTR. They've decided to try and adjust by moving over to one of the maps that a lot of teams have been picking against some of these dive team compositions. They're sending us to Midtown, Moxie.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about in the previous series, if you're going up against a team that's liking to run dive, don't take them to Spider Islands or Yggdrasil Path. Like, Midtown is your one-stop best destination possible to avoid the convergence and the problems of both the Mantis and the Ultron there within. I say the Mantis and the Ultron, but we do have to talk about the elephant in the room that is Triple Strategist still occurring in EMEA and having levels of success that, I'm just gonna say it now, America is not seeing the same results of.
I mean, as a number one pro builder fan, I'll have you know that the
True,
Adam
actually, yeah, the Adam yesterday on Araka was really good. I will give them that.
He can make it work. But yeah, you're right. I think for like choices for ALTR esports, like the one choice that they did have against Navi that didn't work was the Museum of Contemplation, very dive centric, as Moxie mentioned, and it was Jalia up against Pulsar yesterday, which, yeah, you know that the other team can run Ultron, you know that they can even pull out stuff like the Torch. If that composition translates over well to Jalia, which off the top of my head, it seems like it would do naturally. It seems like, yeah, you don't want to take them there either. Midtown is going to force something a little bit different, but it doesn't seem like it's out of the scope of Shikigami. They're a team that are experienced, that this is probably the most played map in EMEA outside of the dominations.
They've got some flexibility here. They've had a lot of experience, but a lot of that experience was in previous Ignites, especially during the bunker meta, where Frost Mountain made a name for themselves by being someone who could flex onto Storm in order to set up for those spawn breaks. So we'll see if that's the direction they want to take us this time. But we're going to be heading on in, so that's enough from me. Take it away, you two, as we head into map number 2 of Shikigami versus ALTR Esports.
Music's always so tense on this map, and then you have the like opera singer coming in screaming, and it's just the console levels do go up. I think just off of like the draft alone, but it's more of the same, right? It's looking like we're going to run into another Elsa versus Elsa.
I mean, yeah, it is looking very much like it, as ALTR Esports get the opportunity to save the Elsa, which means that Shikigami is likely going to follow up that save with a ban onto Vanguard Deadpool, given that Monarch is on the opposing end. Oh, wait. Do we remove the Loki? Has Loki actually been deemed a higher threat now that we're on Convoy and things like the Triple Strategist line, plus the Adam Warlock is a very scary threat to walk into on this map type indeed?
Is it going to be mirrored from ALTR Esports? Because they might be like, yeah, good point. Certainly you don't want to give a one-sided Loki over, but they might actually try and take out another strategist that is happy to have two others around them. Now they're sticking to their guns. Deadpool Vanguard has been banned out quite a lot in comparison to the last couple of days, but maybe here they take out the Lokis and then the Deadpool Vanguard, so it kind of cancels each other out. Who's to say?
Oh, Shikigami is just going for the strategist line. I fear, ALTR Esports, what are you going to be left with? There goes the Gambit, there goes the Loki, there goes the Invisible Woman. I mean, this feels like Shikigami's kind of like trying to force ALTR Esports onto having to play a triple strategist line simply because they only have just like very spare pieces left in terms of slow heals, as it looks like Shikigami, actually seeing that it was a Mantis ban over the Loki, are going to go for a Loki save before ALTR Esports can target it out, meaning that, yep, Loki Adam still going to very much be a problem. As what is this last ban going to be? We're bringing Tetcher back in so that he can join the discussion too, because going for the Mantis on the side of ALTR Esports over the potential Loki against Shikigami, that's an interesting one, right?
It very much is. Just to update people, we have a quick pause. We have a team captain is suffering from a little bit of Scottish weather right now, so we'll hopefully be able to get back in very shortly. But yeah, the Mantis being taken out, we talked about just how much success we are getting from Triple Strategist, and Mantis seems to be one of these big empowerers. But Ultron has been something that has been adjusting that as well. Adam is something on this map where you get big revive compositions when Loki is in play, which it was protected by Shikigami. It's interesting to see it taken out so early here.
Yeah, one of the things I think about it is too, like with banning out just strategists a lot, like the strategy was used against like Virtus Pro and stuff in the early stages, stage 1. whilst this draft system has stayed the same, there's more strategists added into the game. So actually taking out and just leaving like a couple of rough ones is less possible now than it was a year ago. But also, a lot of strategists generally are closer to each other in like scope of strength. Doesn't feel like there's somebody that's like really, really bad. I think all of them, barring maybe a couple of like seen action at the very least.
I will say going for the Mantis instead of the Loki ban, if like you take it out the Loki, that does depower Mantis a little bit in terms of the Loki Mantis composition. What that says to me for a ban line is that you're more concerned about Mantis Ultron for the side of Shikigami. So they, I think, want to avoid that problem and potentially field it themselves, as they do get one more save slot before Shikigami can go for a ban. So maybe it's going to be onto a Mantis. They've obviously lost the ability to go for that Loki, but that could then force Shikigami's hand into having to ban out the Ultron instead.
Not only that, but you might be controlling what other strategists your opponents pick at the backline if they're forced onto a double strategist. If you leave the Loki open, suddenly someone like, for example, a Jeff or a Rocket could become a little bit less viable because they're not people you see teamed up with Loki in at least double strategist compositions as often. But I do agree, though, that it's still so risky. Loki worked very well with Mantis, so it could have been taken away to weaken that composition. He empowers double res comps. He's still really strong against Elsa's and Gladrock's compositions, because if he gets carried with even one of his clones, a Regent Domain is a great way to try and make sure you survive at the other end. It's a risky situation to put yourself in for the sake of trying to remove Mantis. Like you say, Ultron might be what they're scared of because Shikigami have shown it, but that was on Convergence.
One thing I'm looking at in the draft, I mean, again, it's sort of paused at this like awkward point, but they were hovering over a final ban of Wolverine, which, yeah, for Frost Mountain, it's a very good Wolverine. It's also a pretty good route map, I think, too. So if we do want to see that in play, I just don't think we've seen an awful lot of it from ALTR Esports, as far as I know. But, I mean, because it's the first time that they've played Midtown, it's the first time that Shikigami have played Midtown as well this year. So there's like other maps that they focused on. It still means that Daredevil is open for Frost Mountain, but I do feel like if ALTR Esports still commit to the composition that they're running, there's only so much that Daredevil can do when everybody is just up there.
Well, they proved that they were better and more equipped at dealing with the Daredevil as opposed to the Wolverine. And I feel like if you're ALTR Esports, if you wanted to just avoid the Wolverine problems entirely, you go to a Convergence map like Holla Tishalia, but that opens up the whole problematic bag of, hey, Mantis Ultron compositions, which they're obviously trying to avoid with that earlier Mantis ban. So going to a Convoy map, which, as we talked about, worse for dive compositions, but stronger for Wolverine, does kind of force their hands if they're still not able to deal with the Wolverine, especially since Shikigami went for an earlier ban against the Invisible Woman, because like one of your best defenses against Wolverine early grabs is getting the counter pull with force physics. Denying one of those resources would put the Vanguard at a much higher vulnerable position. So I think that hover on the Wolverine is likely actually going to be locked. It's probably a debate going through on the team's end right now about if it actually is so problematic that it's worth it, because if they let it through, it could absolutely be the reason that they lose this map.
Players seem to be readying up, so hopefully we'll be able to get you all back into the game very shortly. I've been very much enjoying watching these from my host spot, just letting you two cover this
nice,
and watching through the draft. It's a fun opportunity. But with the Wolverine being a potential removal here, once again, you've already mentioned the potential a little bit of anti-dive and also just being able to isolate people. We've seen a little bit of Hulk creeping in from some teams as well to combo with that, to maybe try and isolate people, especially if there's an Angela out and about to, you know, just catch them, just get them out of the sky is always good and could also help deal with stuff like an Ultron. We'll have to see if that's the direction that they want to head on in as we await for the next start.
I mean, what's your save? If you're ALTR Esports would be my question, because like, if you're going for a ban on the Wolverine and you're going for a ban on the Mantis, maybe you go for Mantis yourself, which, like I said, could potentially force an Ultron, and then like, even if, you don't get Mantis Ultron, at least you get something else potentially through to build your composition around. Well, we'll get to find out as Tetcha fades away, and you know what? We trade a Tetcha for a Wolverine ban. There it is. It does actually get locked into that Mantis save. Now, do Shikigami react with an Ultron ban, or do they see a different path in front of them all?
I mean, that would be a good one. I think he often gets surrounded by the draft. You want to try and connect off of him, but like Adam himself is going to be taken out in this draft, which seems like the obvious approach when it comes to triple strategist. But like I said, a lot of the backline is hit on the side of ALTR Esports, so it's a tough time for Exo and Hatcho to be comfortable. Never mind, like, just if you wanted to run triple strategist, just running 2 is going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, Mantis fits perfectly both with the Adam as well as that Ultron, and taking the Adam out of the play is going to hit Alter when it comes to being able to stall out on first checkpoint, allowing Shikigami... Yeah, allowing Shikigami a very good potential for just full holding, or even if they don't complete the full hold, like, you're going to burn so much of the time bank that one successful fight on second is going to send ALTR Esports into absolute panic mode.
Yeah, you've got a tough old game now for ALTR Esports as it's 4 strategists banned out of 4 and more. Shikigami taking up some of those key pieces, but there's adjustments as and when needed on this defense. Interesting, like, Vanguard line that you have got the Angela and the Groot sort of high and low approach, but the triple strategist with their own Adam is going to be very useful on this defense.
Ooh, ALTR Esports, what are we thinking about doing? Are we actually going to make a play for this Daredevil to flank and try and take some of the spaces away from Shikigami, which will have a hard time getting through both the sustainability of the triple strat line, but also the presence of Kaya being able to guard his strategist line? No, it looks like they're actually going to put Monarch back onto this Mantis and play for the damage boost onto Whoops to be able to win out the neutral and just have so much incoming damage that it punches through the sustainability before Shikigami hit the ult cycles.
You got a one-sided Deadpool as well for Z-Cube. We haven't seen too much of it today, but Kaya finds her first pick onto team captain. Point is held by the defenders as they've managed to find a flank onto Whoops and taking him out, so Alter been stalled out quite a lot. Monarch immediately switching away from the Mantis to go for Punisher to just give them something to try to cut through what Shikigami's defense is offering.
Yeah, mostly the Groot Walls, right? Mostly the Groot Walls, and also having final judgments that Shikigami have to actually think about if Lindstrom copies Name or Frost Mountain. Z-Cube was able to keep themselves safe, having built up the first ban hammer, which is likely going to force Shikigami to have to react with something like a regeneration domain early, or potentially forcing out that Soul Bond. They get one of them, but not the second. Soul Bond is still going to be in play for Shikigami's side, and Team Captain is traded for the Groot's presence, but Lindstrom will instantly bring Eastal back into the fold with the Comic Revival. That will also apply to Kaya as well.
Lindstrom's gone for the copy of the Comic Revival as Frost Mountain's building it up. You have also got an Apex Predator available for Laylas. Bear in mind that Shikigami do have access to the Invisible Woman themselves. It's one-sided for them as ALTR Esports are struggling with the Jeff Luna backline, which we don't see an awful lot of, I don't think, in comparison to some of the others. But Shikigami sitting comfortable. It's only been 67 meters that have gone so far. I'm not going to make the obvious joke, but it is a lovely pick onto Kaya. Actually, it's managed to carve through Z-Cube, slalomed his way through the streets of Midtown to find that elimination. And now a bit of a flip of the spawns as the defenders have been sort of shoved back onto this left-hand side. But look at the coordination of how well Shikigami went in for this like counter dive on the opposite of divey maps.
I mean, Lindstrom just gets to keep the team safe through Final Judgment with literally the cheapest thing possible, Regeneration Domain, a cooldown for an ultimate. It's a trade you make every day of the week, and it allows Name to hold the Eternal Bond for once the Punisher is taken down, pushing Shikigami into ALTR Esports aggressively. So Frost Mountain has been able to keep a hold of Comic Revival. Lindstrom will have a second if Shikigami start losing that fight. We're looking at a potential full hold in terms of time bank. Isidore comes on for the Strangling Prison! And ALTR Esports, even through the fate of both worlds, are able to get cut down with that Terror Cape from Name, applying the vulnerability and dropping everyone from the team.
I mean, that's another aspect of play that Angela's very good at. In the time since, like, last season in this one, we have seen Angela buffs 2D, like, Axis Vicor. Like, the cleave is very strong if she can land on the ground and take those engagements. Having a group force it is very nice in the end, but ALTR Esports, 1 minute left, and they've really not made enough space on their map choice. They have gone back over towards the Mantis, but it is still in a 2-2-2 setup as Monica switched again for that Psylocke. See if there's more of a dive. They can't really find many of the picks or eliminations, and even if they do, they have got a counter revival and potentially a copy to go through. You can see just how far Frost Mountain is sat back in this engagement, and he really isn't under enough pressure. In fact, he's going to be the pressure. He finds the pick onto Whoops as there's only 30 seconds left.
Well, he might have to use the Karmic Revival. Lindstrom goes for the copy onto Name with the Eternal Bond so Shikigami can get aggressive and walk into ALTR Esports. And actually, they're going to keep Name down for the count, allowing Frost Mountain to hold Karmic Revival to have in the overtime fight when no one from ALTR Esports can separate off the fight and go prevent the Adam. Monarch's actually moved on to the Psylocke as well, just trying to play for a little bit more map monopoly, but they have to walk into the Heaven's Retribution. Hatra with the HF can save the team by going for that E, carrying them outside of the tether, and it looks like ALTR Esports have been able to untangle themselves, but they still are not out of the woods just yet. Karmic Revival is the name of the game for Shikigami right now, if they even need it, because Eastor just catches every player in the backline with that strangling prison. Leolas opens up main route with the Apex Predator, and ALTR Esports haven't found the eliminations to even force Frost Mountain. This is just flash, unnecessary style points coming out from Frost Mountain's end to make sure that Shikigami finished the map in style.
And it was whoops, 97% away from having the Apex Predator 2. ALTR Esports pretty much held at the brink, full held from Shikigami. And I have to sort of look at this of just like that ban line, especially against ALTR Esports, is brutal on any map. Never mind this one.
Yeah, I mean, no Adam. No Adam, no Loki. What do you try and stabilize your defense around? You've got the Mantis, you've got the Ultron, which evidently they wanted to make a play for since they're hovering it currently, but like, there's no way you can run Mantis Ultron 2-2-2. This is going to be such a glass cannon. If they start losing these fights, they're going to start losing them hard.
It's also just like that second protect is later on in the draft too. ALTR Esports chose to attack first, which means that they would be Team B, which means that Shikigami had the chance to sort of ban out a lot before ALTR Esports could protect anything else other than the Elsa. So it was really clever from Shikigami to read that.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. Exo is actually going to go to Luna. So yeah, ALTR Esports won't be fielding just the Mantis Ultron, which, I mean, in the face of Storm's damage boost, yeah, that would fold in about 2 seconds. Like, ALTR Esports, they have to do this perfectly. Team captain has to be able to go in, disrupt, soft dive, stall out Shikigami without getting counter-spit by Kaya. Like, he's looking for it. He's on it, but like, ALTR Esports, every part of these engagements have to go perfectly. If one falls prematurely to Frost Mountain or Leilas gets into the backline and starts taking down these strategists, this is map, this is game.
The Frost Mountain hovering over the Storm as well that he has picked on this map, but without that combination with Jeff Nado, it's going to be pretty unlikely to see it in action, at least here. So far, Shikigami don't need to go too far. They've already made it halfway, and they still have 3.5 minutes to work off of. But you can see that ALTR Esports just actually want to play quite a high line, use this high ground to try to pull the attention away. There's not really a chance of verticality on this composition, and it's trying to keep away from Leolas that is poppering and peppering his way through the backline. This is a very deep dive from the team captain that has been completely punished and pulled apart. Lindstrom force physics him up the stairs. He gets isolated. That's a big loss.
Oh, Z-Cube comes through with the ban hammer. Shikigami don't have Loki in this play to be able to drop the regeneration domain and mitigate all of that tick damage. So they do actually lose Leolas. But I mean, Kaya is still on the field, takes out Z-Cube. ALTR Esports forced to give up yet more space. And Shikigami will just hungrily absorb that map monopoly, making sure to clear out the dive from team captain yet again when he shows up. The intent might be for the soft dive, but the Andra is making his life an absolute nightmare.
You got Rage of Ultron now for Hatro. It has to be used the invisible boundary. It's going to be placed on top of it. And Apex Predator as a counter to try and pull through. But all of the players that were grabbed by the Glortrops have been pulled back into the invisible boundary. The Rage of Ultron isn't going to provide enough as they've lost team captain again. It really isn't a chance for anybody to touch. There was 4 players alive, but Shikigami do it at speed, do it at pace. A great week for them. 2-1 in their groups. ALTR Esports, it's a 1-2 finish on this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, just really good macro coming through from Shikigami in those fights, like understanding, okay, we'll give them high ground verticality, like we're just going to push cart. They're going to have to send the Venom into soft dive or disruption dive us. We've got the Angela. We can just play the moment team captain shows up to look for those assassin spears, push him out of position, allow Shikigami to shred through that Venom's health bar. And the moment ALTR Esports lose that cushion to buy themselves some form of space away from the attention of things like the Elsa and the Psylocke, they just have to run away. Like, they had to play for sustainability. They had to play to build up some of those ultimates and push back against ALTR Esports, or maybe find a pick with whoops on the Elsa, but none of it occurs because they just have little space to work with.
We were expecting that this series would provide a little bit more of a closer competition because ALTR Esports looking better against Pulsar yesterday wasn't the case. Shikigami just scoffed at the idea that like ALTR Esports could compete against them, and it's a statement I suppose to make at the end of this, right? You take good care of Pulsar, you lose to Na'Vi, but you take a map, and here against a playoff contender for sure with ALTR Esports, you'd say that they're very likely to be that fourth and final team to make it alongside the others. You're just absolutely dismantled.
An incredible performance from Shikigami, like Ryan said. They continue to improve as we see them. ALTR put up a solid fight in map number 1, but map number 2, that was just Shikigami on, once again, ALTR Esports map choice. They chose the side. They had basically everything in their favor. Moxie, what went wrong?
Low-key Adam, like letting the low-key Adam for having no way to force the reses early as well. And then just like when you were on your own defense, you had like 2 win conditions. Elsa starts to find eliminations out of nowhere and you're able to sweep the fight. Or you get to have things like that triple strategist sustainability, but Shikigami went for things that punish it. Like Elsa does so much damage so quickly, it punches through the slow heal tick of things like the Mantis and the Ultron drones, and you're relying on your Venom to just give you a bubble of safety to work with. Shikigami were like, okay, we'll do a plan in 2 steps. We'll deal with your Venom first, and then we'll deal with the rest of your team.
Yeah, I'm very, like, I think this was good for Shikigami to go for that, like, second ban onto Loki as well. Like, it wasn't a Deadpool Vanguard, they let that through for ALTR Esports, but it was just how they really read this early, like, yeah, just get rid of the Loki and we can whittle away. A team getting one-sided Loki, Invisible Woman, and Adam is egregious. But it's just because we haven't seen teams actually go and take out Adam so far this stage, even though a lot of the play's still around him. Now we're actually seeing teams be like, he is that much of a problem that we can take out right at the end, whilst you can see that ALTR Esports' ideas, like they have multiple compositions and then it gets whittled down over time, and then there's just one left, and then the Adam gets banned out, you don't have anything left. There was no composition at ALTR Esports felt that they could run at that point. They were just running on fumes, and Shikigami had a good hold because of it.
Those Adam compositions, they do keep sneaking in every now and again. We were so worried when a lot of people were so worried when this patch came out that Adam might just be doomed, just because that ult charge already takes so long that being able to get it up is such an issue. But combine it with Loki, who charges up a little bit quicker, and the fact that Adam does have Soul Bond, which is such a significant ability in those big team fights anyway, while now having the mobility to reposition, to escape from main engages, and actually make sure that they don't get blown up and lose that cocoon early, he's still seeing play. We're still seeing him be made work, and now actually catching bans out here. Adam going from maybe doomed to actually seeing play and bans in some of these games. Quite the glow up for the perfect man.
I mean, I will say, though, that Loki was a huge part for Shikigami, at least in this instance. Because, like, yeah, they went for the Loki save, and that means if you let ALTR Esports gain access to Vanguard Deadpool and they get first use of Banhammer, like, Banhammer is so effective on maps like Domination or these, like, attacking sides, because you can just put it on a strategist before they have an ultimate to be able to heal through it, which should guarantee an elimination. Loki sidesteps that with Regeneration Domain. Like, I'm gonna keep saying it until it gets nerfed. Regeneration Domain as a cooldown has the same amount of power to it as an ultimate. So the fact that, yes, Banhammer is built up, your Loki gets hit by it, or whoever on your team gets hit by it, you just drop Regeneration Domain and you're free and laughing.
So impactful being able to have not just that huge amount of healing that it does offer, but the invulnerability that it offers. There are very few abilities that give full invulnerability in the game.
Yep.
One of them is White Fox, and one of them is a Loki with Regen Domain. So seeing that come in is such a huge deal at being able to keep your team alive. We've already mentioned how well it can work into Elsa. Speaking of which, a very low elimination game, but still yet another showing of just how impactful Frost Mountain has been on this Elsa. It's allowing Leolas to flex onto different stuff like the Ultron, like the Psylocke, as we've seen throughout the last couple of days. But Frost Mountain has just been cleaning up on Elsa Bloodstone, and we will be interviewing them in but a moment. But right now, we're starting to get into the weeds again of who is really starting to stand out on Elsa, as you see play in almost every game, and we're getting a very long list of absolutely goated Elsa players, including Whoops on ALTR here.
I think I was going to say about like Whoops on the Elsa too, because it's like when you prioritize it so much in the draft and you're looking to run triple strategist, you know what your duelist is going to be, and that's pretty much like you're locked onto it. For example, if you know that you're going up against like a Groot and a Loki on the other side, something like a Jean Grey Phoenix would have gone really hard. You would have got a lot of value out of it, but because you're playing one duelist, it has to be Elsa. You're never going to go, we're not going to play Elsa and play Jean Grey instead. That just feels like a complete like waste of that opportunity. So there are some teams that kind of like shoehorn themselves into that, and then some of these options that you could have on the duelist role get completely omitted because you want to try and run triple strategist on stuff like the attack or defensive maps like this. So Shikigami, again, played it really well to just limit the options for all three spots. If you want Elsa, you can have them, but you know that you're not going off of it, right? You can't change depending on what situation you throw in front of you. You have to deal with it.
And Moxie, the battle at the top of the table continues as Shikigami now are 2-1. They're part of 3 teams with 2 points in this group, joining once again Heretics and Na'Vi, although Na'Vi could change that at the end of today. But they're still in with that competition, which means that the Heretics Na'Vi game and of course the Shikigami Heretics game coming up next week are going to be just that more impactful.
Oh, they're going to be so good. Like, they're going to be easily the best matches that we have in the EMEA group stages. Like, I cannot wait to get to see the compositions that they've been cooking up for those.
Cooking indeed. Speaking of cooking, we've got a little bit of a callback representative in terms of cooking with Kaya, as we have finally Frost Mountain coming on in to join us for the interview. And Frost, another incredible win for Shikigami, taking out ALTR. There are a lot of people who were wondering where you two would place in the group, but after that second map, you feel like you've shut down those people who were maybe doubters?
I mean, yeah, the first map, they kind of surprised us, honestly. Like the Luna White Fox Ultron, genuinely, like, it did surprise us. We kind of expected it, but we thought they were going to go for like more of a DD Elsa comp, but we made it work. I think I missed every Elsa ult though. It was bad.
So
yeah.
we're talking about... Sorry, go ahead, Moxie.
Were you expecting the ban line on Midtown to be what it ended up being? Because, like, getting to see your team walk away with the Adam, the Loki, the Elsa, and the Invisible Woman, if you wanted to go for it, felt a little bit like daylight robbery, right? How did you manage to pull that one off?
I mean, when we were in draft, right, and we saw the Wolverine ban just before they paused. And I was actually just surprised. I didn't expect that at all. We weren't even considering running Loki Adam. We haven't run that since last season. It's not a comp we consider. But I saw the Wolverine ban, I smiled to myself a bit. I got a little ego boost from that, but yeah.
True, because they banned out your Wolverine after you had already locked the Elsa Bloodstone, which you were obviously going to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they did snipe it. We were looking to play fastball. The Wolverine ban was pretty good, but I think the issue with banning Wolverine is just they leave everything open. We have Loki, Adam, we have Elsa, we have literally every character in the game open pretty much. We could have even ran DD Dive if we wanted to, but we just kept it simple.
There's a lot more options than they did, it felt, with that backline being hit as hard as that. Could you talk about Na'Vi yesterday? What went wrong in that series that you wanted to pick up with today? Because it was a good map that you took on Central Park with the torch and stuff, but where were the issues that you wanted to try and fix going into today and next week?
Na'Vi, I think the Na'Vi game taught us a lot about our draft. We already knew the flaws with our draft. When we went into the Na'Vi games, we knew the flaws. We went into it with the idea of comfortability over meta. We just wanted to be comfortable with our draft. We weren't expecting to lose, obviously. We wanted to put up a good fight. First map, it was just a poor performance from us. If I'm gonna be honest, the Luna White Fox, we expected it, but we didn't prep for it. Playing DD into Luna White Fox was so bad. It's so impossible to go in. You just you go in, then you get charmed, and then Luna team ups and you get charmed, then you get frozen. And then second map's it's our comfort comp. We saw the draft. We already knew we won the moment draft ended. It wasn't really a question. That's just our comp. I'm comfortable with Torch. Leo's comfortable in Ultron. Every player in our team is comfortable with the characters they were playing. It was we just played our game. Third map was the third map is the one where the most first map, like there's issues, but you know that's just like us playing bad. Third map is where the issues like we actually have kind of got highlighted. It's like we just I don't even know, bro. It's like we just didn't play that well. We didn't have plans. The number one thing that messed us up probably was the Trust Me Venom. We didn't respect it as hard as we should have. We banned it second map and we won, and then we didn't ban it third map. The idea was that I was gonna play Wolf and I was gonna farm him on Venom. He didn't get farmed. He's a really good player. He played really well. And I think the Venom was one of the main reasons we lost that map.
So looking ahead to the future, next week you've got 2 games. You're playing against Peps and you're playing against Team Heretics. And that last one could maybe decide who's going through maybe second, who's going through maybe third, who's potentially going through first if Na'Vi have a very rough week. How are you feeling in terms of preparation? You said that you may have maybe missed a bit of respect onto Trust Me on Na'Vi. Keeping an eye on Heretics, what are you worried about there?
Heretics? I mean, I think Heretics are in my opinion, they're just kind of triple support merchants. You have to be worried about that. I know it's mainly I don't know. I remember I never really had high opinions of Naga until I played against him. And Naga is just I know why they play triple support. He's just one of the best DPS players on Ultron, Adam, Jeff, all these characters that he plays on support. He's one of the best in EU on them. He's so good on them, and he requires respect for that. And they're probably gonna run triple support stuff. We're gonna prep for that, but we're confident. You know, hopefully we'll win. That's the match we're prepping for.
Well, we'll let you get back to preparing for that. Thank you for joining us, Frost Mountain. Congratulations on another win and a continued run for Shikigami.
Thank you. Thank you.